What makes a good paper, I feel, is one where you have a conventional wisdom and you're able to overturn this and provide an explanation why it may not be the way it actually seems. My name is Martin Holzhacker. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Accounting and Information Systems at the Broad College. The title of our paper is Property Rights Restrictions and Self-Employed Workers, Evidence from For-Hire Owner-Operators in U.S. Trucking. It was published in a journal called Productions and Operations Management. So the Department of Transportation required the installation of these electronic logging devices in for-hire operators' trucks. Effectively, what that did is it made it much more difficult to falsify log books. So the ability to misrepresent the time that you worked as a truck driver, as you drove, this got much more difficult to misrepresent. And the point of these logging devices was to ensure road safety. But what we also look into is whether there are some hidden costs of using these logging devices that arguably restrict these drivers' freedoms in operating their business. So we found that the number of citations, violations of these hour of service rules went down significantly among those truck drivers that were subject to the mandate. The regulation really did what it was supposed to do and contain the misconduct. We found, however, a series of hidden costs. For one, we saw drivers less on the road supplying less labor for these short-term hauls that arise unexpectedly, where you need somebody with a high degree of flexibility show up and haul that load over state lines. Secondly, and more profoundly, in terms of the decision that these truck drivers make, is we observe you're more likely to exit the industry altogether and disappear from the roads entirely. So essentially call it quits. It appears that it's not profitable enough for these drivers to remain in business. And thirdly, among those drivers that actually remained in the market, they seem to be flocking to those larger firms. It seems that the drivers are shifting towards a more stable business and essentially sharing profits with larger firms and surrendering their independence in the process. And in some sense, this goes much beyond trucking and can speak to a brighter phenomenon of, really, there's a lot of self-employed folks. One major reason is the independence and the ability to control your tangible and intangible assets. And if you have any sort of regulation that can restrict that, or even from a broader perspective, think of, for example, firms. We see technological monitoring of employees. Are you deterring the misconduct, or are you perhaps hurting your labor supply, your workers' motivation? Are you perhaps even driving them away from your business as a firm? How are employees going to respond to that? I think the paper kind of raises this broader question. Universities are not just in the process of knowledge dissemination, but we're also in a process of knowledge creation, and that's the research component of it. We have to go out there, talk to folks, collect data to try to sort of understand how firms conduct business on a daily basis. And we try to understand how business really works.